Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 11 at Saratoga on Sunday. The rescheduled $200,000 Caress Stakes. We're going 5.5 furlongs on the Mellon Turf Course. This race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, originally scheduled for Saturday. The race postponed, moved to Sunday due to the extreme heat at the Spa on Saturday. You can bet this race and this whole nice card featuring the Coaching Club American Oaks with the DRF Bets account. Sign up, access $150 in risk-free wagers. Let's meet this nice field for the Caress. Again, we're going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. And the distance, Mike, really the key to this race, because the number 4 Significant Form might very well be the most talented runner in this field. And she turned back to 7 furlongs for her seasonal debut in the Intercontinental. You liked her that day, and she did not have an ideal trip. She was bottled up in behind horses. She had a long way to come at the 3/16 pole. She weaved her way through, and she was just simply best. But she needed every inch of that 7, and now she's cutting back to a stiff 5.5.
Yeah, I think anybody who, looks at her the way that you just laid out, which I agree with all of it, I think she is the best horse in the race. You have to realize that cutting back from just 7 to 5.5, it's a pretty big cutback, especially on turf. So it could really work against her. I think if you watch the Intercontinental, you realize that that's the easiest half-length victory you might ever see. She was loaded all the way around the track in there. Had to come through a very tight hole in the stretch. If you watch the head on of that race, you will realize that she really didn't have any room to split the leaders in the stretch, but Irad Ortiz rather, just put her right in there and she burst through there. That was a very impressive win, Dan. I think she might be better than these horses. I also think 5.5 could affect her chances quite a bit.
That is my concern as well. We're going to show you a positive Chad formulator. In fact, it wouldn't be a stakes preview without one. Past 2 years, horses aged 4-year-olds and up, second off the layoff, last out winners on turf, 15 for 43, 30 of 43 on the board, $2.95 ROI. But now we're going to look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. It's a rare blue bar scenario in a turf sprint, which means in Timeform US parlance, it favors horses on or near the early lead, and Significant Form might be outrun a little bit early cutting back.
Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. I think if you just look at it, there's not a ton of burners in this race where they're just going to be flying, but there are horses who I think want to be forward. This pace might get a little bit more heated than you think.
I agree. Mominu is expected to make the early lead for Jimmy Toner, and Mominu is a real nice runner. She's done some good work at the 5.5 at Keeneland. Last time out at Monmouth, she kind of ran an even race. I think Kendrick Carmouche could be real aggressive with her because they look at the form. You see her best races have come when she's on the lead, and Carmouche is an aggressive rider.
True enough. I mean, I think it's her only chance is to maybe just go to the front and see if she can get out there and try and hold on at the end, because overall, I just don't think she's good enough to beat these horses unless she catches some breaks.
Mad respect to the 3 Fire Key, who might be the speed closest to the inside under Jose Ortiz. She's 6 years old. She's 16 of 29 in the exacta. She can come from last. She can win it on the lead. And last time out in the Intercontinental, listen, Significant Form was just better than she was, but she ran her usual big race, and maybe that 7's a little far for her.
Yeah, it might be. She's just a real good horse. I think cutting back to 5.5, it could work against Significant Form. It's going to help her. I think it's better for her. It's interesting too, Dan. She was a horse who had some trouble in the gate prior to her last couple of starts. All of a sudden, she's getting out of there and she's showing some speed. That's a benefit to her as well. She's dangerous in this race.
I think a horse that's lurking in the weeds at a good price, that's getting ready for a good trip, is the 2 Broadway Run for one of our favorite trainers, Johnny Terranova. 3rd start of the year. She came back in the license fee. Fire Key kind of controlled that race. Broadway Run came with a good run. It was a good effort. In the Intercontinental, she was pushing the pace. And again, she was no match for Significant Form. But again, at 5.5, I think this might be more of her specialty.
I agree with that. 5.5 is better for her. She is a versatile filly where she can show speed from down there, but she doesn't need the lead to run her best race. I mean, you can go through her starts from 1 to 8 so far. She hasn't run a bad one yet, Dan. This is a good horse, and she could be set to take a step forward in here.
Before we get to our top picks, let's look at a couple of price sources in here, beginning with the 1 Miss Gossip. This is a horse that was claimed for $62.5 at Saratoga last year, and she did win over course and distance, coming from way out of it. But the pace might be against her a little bit, and she's stepping way up in class.
I think the pace is probably against her. I mean, she hasn't run well since they claimed her out of that win. But you have to realize that 2 of those 3 starts are on synthetic. She doesn't seem like she's very good on that surface. She's a better turf sprinter, but she might not be this good.
Factor of one ran last time out down at Monmouth in that Goldwood race. Kind of just ran around there second, chasing throughout. It was a short field. Maybe it really didn't play to her strengths. She can be close, but she's outside and is going to have to work out a trip without losing too much ground.
Yeah, that Goldwood's actually in pretty good form. She didn't really have any chance to catch her. I guess the real problem with her is that after they got her here last summer, she had a really tough trip in that Coronation Cup, and she looked like a filly maybe you wanted to follow, but she hasn't really gone forward from there.
JC's Shooting Star is a horse you can root for. New York bred, 7 years old. She's earned $600,000. Ran better than expected on the dirt behind the Quality Holiday Disguise last time out. You know, she's just kind of a one-run closer, and I think she's up against it from a pace and class standpoint.
I agree. I mean, the pace really does seem like it could affect her, maybe more than anyone else. She's pretty good, though, and she's actually really good sprinting on the turf, Dan. She's a big price horse I want to use somewhere because I do think she's good enough. If she catches even a little bit of a setup, she can come running at the end of this race.
Let's take a look at our top selections for this race. Your top pick is my second pick, and I almost went with the 6, Mrs. Ramona G, who's coming out of the Perfect Sting race, going a mile at Belmont. I thought she ran really well that day. She was chasing in the 2-path. She took over, and it took an odds-on talented uni from the Chad Brown horse to run her over in the lane. Now, while I know she's won at a mile, I've always thought that's a little bit far for her, but do you think cutting back from a mile to 5.5 could affect her just a little bit? I mean, that's a giant cut back in distance.
It is the probably the main obstacle for her. It's interesting though that they've gone back and forth between sprinting and routing with her before, and she seems like she can handle it, Dan. I mean, it's not going to be easy for her, but I do think that she might be a little better going shorter. I thought she ran great last time. I thought she ran great 2 starts back in the Politely. We already talked about how good Goldwood's been. This filly had real trouble at the start of that race. I think it really cost her that day. She's effective sprinting. I think she's in very good form right now as a 4-year-old, and she's going to be an okay price in this race.
Rusty Arnold's been having a great year. Of course, he's got Concrete Rose loaded in the 3-year-old filly turf division. He's had Morticia Good for a long time. She won the Coronation Cup over this course and distance as a 3-year-old and failed in the Caress last year, I think because she hated that soft ground. She basically had a paid workout last time out and moved to a 95 buyer. It was a 5-furlong race to Churchill. She has good positional speed. She got up close. She took over. It was under a hand ride. There was not a lot of running behind her, but the runner-up did come back to win. I think she gets the jump on the 2 other big names, which I think are significant form in Mrs. Ramona G in here, and I know she's a specialist at this distance.
Listen, I like her running style. I like basically all of her races. I mean, she is what she is, but she's going to run her race. I think you kind of know that about her. It's very rare that she doesn't show up. And she won very easily last time. I think I was just more turned off by her race 2 back, Dan, because that's a race that I can't find an excuse for. I don't know how she didn't win that race. And I think that's why she was down into an allowance race last time, because I think maybe Rusty Arnold was a little disappointed she didn't win too. She got a confidence booster last time. Her good race is definitely good enough, but I want a different direction.
So we're going to try to beat Chad's talented, significant form. That's my 3rd pick in this race. I'm going 5, 6, 4, and 2. Give me numbers.
I went 6 over 4 because I think they are probably the two horses I like the most in here. And I threw in the New York bred JC Shooting Star, the 9 at a price underneath.
Nice race. The $200,000 Caress for fillies and mares going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Get involved with that DRF Bets account and the $150 in risk-free bets that come along with it. Approximate post time for race number 11 at the Spa on Sunday, 6:16 Eastern. Good luck.